All right, Stephen, thank you so much, mate, for popping in and joining me in the Two Robbies pod.
Yeah.
We've had a brilliant weekend of football, of course, highlighted by the last game that we've just watched at Anfield. Ended Liverpool 1, Manchester City 1, McAllister with the penalty in the second half, John Stones with a clever work corner kick in the first half, finishes 1-1. It's difficult to know where to start. I guess, why don't we start with kind of the result and what both managers feel like after that game, given what we saw in the match?
I think Guardiola will be quite satisfied with the result after the game, having listened to his interview, the way he spoke after the game, how he said they were in control for 15 minutes, the first 15 minutes, and then he said, then Liverpool they smother you, they make it difficult, they make you play under stress. And he knows how difficult it is to play at Anfield. I think Jurgen Klopp will be disappointed after the game. I think he'll be happy that they got a result, as in they didn't get beat.
Yeah.
But given the opportunities, I thought they could have pinched it.
Yeah, I think when you look at the chances second half, and we showed a lot of them on our show, Luis Diaz had a game that he was brilliant in so many instances, but when the final piece, the finishing was poor, particularly in the first half when he went through. Was that first half, second half? He went through one-on-one.
Yeah, second
half, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he shanked his shot a little bit given that opportunity. I mean, that's what I think. I think, going into the game, I remember saying, this is such an opportunity for Liverpool. Such an opportunity, given the title race, given that somebody's got to beat Man City at some point to knock them off the top. And this was going to be the toughest game for Man City. But given that all the injuries that Liverpool had coming into it, I kind of thought, you know what, with all those players and City kind of playing well, only Jack Grealish is out from fitness levels from them. The Anfield factor, and we love the atmosphere today, Stephen.
Yeah.
Was that the difference between an understrength Liverpool side that managed to probably deserve to win against City?
Yeah, I think so, because I think if you reverse that fixture and put that team out at the Etihad, I think they struggle. I think the fans can do so much for you. They can help you in so many ways in how you close down, the reception you get from winning the ball back. It gives you that extra few yards. It gives you that extra little burst of pace in your legs. I worried before the game when I saw the team, purely for the fact no Salah, 3 youngsters.
What about the Robinson decision? I mean, he played against Sparta Prague, didn't he, in the Europa?
Yeah.
I think he played the whole game, and he was left out of this one. What do you, as a former fullback, what was all that about?
I found it interesting. I mean, he said it was just that he couldn't play back-to-back games, and you're thinking, well, wouldn't you want one of your senior players to play in this game? So why not play him against Sparta Prague midweek and have him ready for this game?
Do you think he thinks Joe Gomez is a better defender, like just an out-and-out better defender?
Quite possibly, and I think that might have been one of the reasons for it. Also, as well, I don't think Andrew Robertson's hit top form. I don't think he's in that form that we've seen from the last 4 or 5 years from him. And whether that injury is just caught up with him a little bit, and he's finding it difficult to get fit, because he's been out a while with the shoulder injury, and it's not an easy one to come back from. So that was another big decision, or was it a tactical one, and he's tried to mask it a little bit by saying he can't play back-to-back games because you've got Phil Foden who likes to come inside, and if he's coming inside on Joe Gomez's strongest foot to defend him,
it's a good point.
Possibly.
Yeah, maybe, quite possibly. Just in terms of specifics from Liverpool, and I think maybe before we get into that, like just Man City's style, where they want it slower and more steady and more controlled. Is there another team that do it as well as Liverpool in terms of stopping that? I mean, we've seen different ways of playing against Man City where a lot of teams drop off and play on a counter-attack, and sometimes they get results doing that. We sometimes see teams high-press Man City, but not for the duration of the 90 minutes. Liverpool seem to find a way, particularly at Anfield, to do that. Is that the only way, really, that you can get on top of Man City? You can make them sweat, you can make them hurried. That's probably a good word for what Liverpool did to them. They made them hurried by the tremendous energy. Where did it all come from Liverpool? Who were the key men in that energy part of it?
Well, I think Diaz and Nunez are huge in that department, but I look at Szoboszlai and McAllister and Endo. They're the ones who have to set the press, but I think that shout comes from behind, from Van Dijk, when to go. Because what he doesn't want to do is he doesn't want to leave himself exposed. He doesn't want City to get through that press and then turn and being able to thread balls through. If you get De Bruyne in spaces.
He did it a few times first half, didn't he? I thought
Yeah, they
got
did.
for a little bit.
And that's going to happen. But that's where Jurgen Klopp said before the game, you've got to be brave. And I think the bravery is continuing to go. It sounds daft, but often you can probably go, you're a former midfielder, and if you go a few times and you don't quite get there, you lose.
Automatically drop off.
Yeah. And I think that's where City prey on that in a lot of games against the middle of the road teams, if you like, and not the top end teams. Whereas the belief in Liverpool is we're a fraction out. Once we get that fraction right, then they're going to struggle to get out. And I think that's the big thing for me is the way that they do that against City. It's so brave, though, isn't it, to be able to do that time and time again.
And also it takes a tremendous amount of energy.
Oh.
Energy. Like we had Virgil van Dijk on the set afterwards down at the pitch side with the guys, and I think he said at the start of it, it's just exhausting. Like, I'm tired. Like, it's really, really hard. Like, we're laughing because we love the game. It was a great game. Like, so many reasons why it was a great game for us to work on it and to watch it. But from his point of view, and players in there for Liverpool, they've got to work their socks off. They literally do to try and stop City, because if you don't, then their football gets going.
Which team would you rather play in from a midfielder's point of view?
I'd rather play in Man City. I would.
Would you?
And maybe surprise. You know what? Probably, what team would I have better fitted? Probably would have been Liverpool.
Yeah.
Because the energy that I can, in terms of helping the team style, probably Liverpool more than the more technical requirements of Man City. But if I was that kind of quality, I'd rather play in a City side that mostly have the ball, because 99% of the time, that possession, that quality, the plan from your manager, it's enjoyable, Stephen, isn't it? It's just enjoyable to have the ball, to knock it around. That wasn't enjoyable today, and that's why we loved it. And that's why we loved it, because Liverpool,
absolutely,
like no other, can ruffle their feathers.
No, there's only them and Arsenal, isn't there, really? I know Villa did a number on Manchester City at Villa Park with that overloaded midfield, and Man City didn't even have one shot on goal, did they?
Right.
Which was incredible.
Yeah.
There's not many teams in world football can do that to Manchester City, which is
and
brilliant.
make them look like knackered at the end of it, like ragged. And City look ragged and tired and exhausted at the end of it.
The great thing is, which I cannot wait for, is we get to watch a very similar thing all over again in a couple of weeks with Arsenal and Man City, or Manchester City and Arsenal. That's going to be phenomenal, isn't it?
These games are so big, aren't they, with the title now? Just before just a few individuals, like, I mean, I know I looked at the right side. I'm thinking Conor Bradley's 20, Harvey Elliott is 20. Yeah. Like, any individuals that stood out for you given the context of this game?
Well, I think Kwanzaa. I mean,
He's 21. He's 21.
Yeah, no one mentioned him before the game, as in Konaté's missing. I mean, Konaté and Van Dijk's relationship this season, everyone's talking about Van Dijk back to his world best, but he's his world's best because of his partner, and that makes him a better player. But Van Dijk, even alongside Kwanzaa, and Kwanzaa he's just grown into a brilliant footballer who is trusted alongside Van Dijk, excellent on the ball with his passing. And you're playing against Haaland, and you think Haaland would go and stand on him.
I know.
Not a kick.
It's a great point, by the way.
I mean,
even during and after, and maybe we're guilty of that. Not a lot of talk about Jarrod Kwanzaa.
No.
A lot of talk about Erling Haaland. Didn't get a kick in the game. And as you said, there was a couple of moments where Van Dijk had to stand out, the one-on-one defending, etc. with Haaland. But Kwanzaa, and I remember Jurgen Klopp, there was a reporter asking him questions about how proud he is of the young players, and he mentioned Conor Bradley and maybe Elliott and a couple of others. And Klopp said, well, what about Kwanzaa? Nobody talks about Kwanzaa. Yeah. And I think he is sneaky blimmin' good.
Yeah.
And, we're not going to do underappreciated this weekend, but he would be absolutely in there for a shout, certainly from you then, on
absolutely,
in terms of what he's done at Liverpool as 21-year age player. And when you think about going forward with Liverpool now, and if Jurgen Klopp's going to leave the team, there's plenty of young players that should give encouragement to the fans and any new manager coming in.
Yeah, my big thing with this is, and you'll know this being a former player as well, is opinions in football. So a new manager comes in, and he might not have that same opinion on certain players. Now, there's certain players who excel under certain managers because they see a quality that another manager might not see. And sometimes people, and I've done it in the past myself, where I've moved from clubs thinking I want a new challenge, but really I should be staying at that club because that manager fits me and he believes in me, he trusts me. And I think that's the concern with a new manager coming in. I know where people will go, yeah, but they're good enough, they'll play. It's not always the way.
Not always the case, and they might not see so much action.
Yeah, that's it. Not concern, but it's just where does it lie and how does it hang? However, it won't just be the young players. It'll be senior players as well, and that's the fascinating part about the new manager coming in.
We're going to find out, yeah. Just switching to Man City a little bit. Am I a little bit harsh in being a bit disappointed with Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Julian Alvarez? I expected a little bit more kind of determination to play through the press sometimes. In the first half, it was kind of even. Sometimes they played through, sometimes they didn't. They kind of drifted out of the game a little bit second half, some of these players. Is that back down to the physicality, intensity of Liverpool taking their game away, or an off day? Anything about City that disappointed you in terms of their performers?
I think the big thing for me is when I watch City and you've got Liverpool's press on them, the balls into midfield are sometimes up and in and around the neck, and the hurry passes into them. So not real quality that we're used to seeing week in, week out, because more often than not, City find a way to play out. So there's a pattern to beat that press. But they haven't come up against a press like this before, and it's so difficult to play out. So De Bruyne and Silva, they found it difficult to find spaces to get that out ball to them once Liverpool had nullified it after the first 15, 20 minutes or so. That's the big thing. However, I've been at Anfield before and I've watched the likes of Luis Suarez, Messi, Busquets. I mean, these are world-class players struggle in a game against Liverpool at Anfield because of the intensity, because of the pressure, because of the fan base. And am I surprised? No, because I know what it's like at Anfield and how difficult it is to play there.
It was a brilliant game of football. As we kind of reflect on it with the title race, and I guess we'll maybe talk a little bit more when we get to Arsenal in a second. Did any of these teams disappoint in terms of the title race? Did they? I still feel that's a lost opportunity for Liverpool, given the chances they had, given the atmosphere that was there and the Klopp factor and everything else. Was that game significant in any way? I know that obviously the table says it's really, really tight now. Anything significant from the game going forward for the title race? From both teams?
From Liverpool's point of view, that they've just gone toe-to-toe with the European champions, arguably the best team in the world, with not their best team.
No one near,
I think you said 5 players would get in their first team. Sorry, excuse me.
5 players.
Yeah.
The starters of Liverpool weren't there.
Yeah, and that, however, not every game is going to be with that atmosphere at Anfield.
I know.
Because it's not going to be Manchester City coming to Anfield every week. So that's a big ask of the fans to recreate that every week. But that's what they've got to do at Anfield. So that's going to be a big ask. They've got some difficult games. From City's point of view, I just don't think they could afford to lose this game. And I think even walking away with a draw, I think Pep would have bit your hand off before the game because he knows how tough it is to go to Anfield. Even with the team Liverpool had, he still knows it's a difficult place to go. But on the flip side of things, Arsenal's result yesterday, under massive pressure to put pressure on these two teams before this game, I thought that performance yesterday was solid because we've seen Arsenal blow teams away of late, but being able to dig a result out, I thought that was impressive. That was a big thing.
No, to us. And just before we move on, I think Liverpool will want, the Mo Salah's back and Konate's and Trent Alexander-Arnold's and Robertson's back.
So where do you see it?
Well, I think for Liverpool to win the title, like we saw at Forest last weekend, and this game really, really tight, having to stretch every sinew, if you like, to get these results. I just think they need some of those guys back in, find their match rhythm again, to really kick on. They're in a really good spot. They're equal top. There's 64 points with them and Arsenal. We'll get onto in a second. So I just think it's an amazing title race, and nobody can really know with any kind of authority what's going to happen here.
No chance.
We all know that City aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
They've got very few injuries. They've done it so many times, but just amazing game, wasn't it?
It's brilliant.
It was a blooming amazing game.
Was.
And
I couldn't sit down all the way through it.
You're jumping around like a crazy guy.
Because you just know the quality that's on show, but there's always that, even though Liverpool were dominating the game, in the back of my mind I'm thinking it only takes one opportunity.
I know.
And Foden had that little one where he could have dinked Kelleher. Kelleher does amazing.
Yeah.
And then Doku hits the post.
Yeah, goes straight back in his arms, yeah.
Oh, my heart was in my mouth.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
brilliant.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.